Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be the final session of the ICND2, and it's got everybody's favorite topic. I can't believe it, it's licensing. Okay, so licensing is not that exciting, but I do have some good news for licensing. So let's go ahead and hop into it and see what we've got left here. Only maybe about a dozen slides. I don't think this should take more than 15 minutes. So licensing is something new for iOS. Previously, it was just the honor system. So let's talk about what previously was. I would say not too long ago, we were running 12.x code. Most of my customers on iOS are still in 12.x code. This is what's been around for probably, I'm just pulling numbers from the sky, but it feels to me about maybe roughly 10 years we've been running 12.x. If you were to buy a brand new ISR Gen 2 today, it's going to ship with 15.x code. So you'd look at this and you think, man, 12 must be ancient. Well, just like the hotels, they skipped the 13th build, just like the hotel skips the 13th floor. And while in America, we think 13 is an unlucky number, in Asia, they think 14 is an unlucky number. So apparently these programmers are a superstitious bunch. They jumped from 12.x to 15.x, so if you see a mix of these, don't feel like you're too far behind. Now, in 15.x, one of the things that they started pushing was the concept of a universal iOS. You used to go to Cisco's site, and there were like 15 different iOS versions to choose from. Not just versions, like if you say, I'm going to run 12.2.41t. You go to get that exact, precise build of code, and you still find out there's multiple versions depending on what features that there are that you want to utilize. In 15.x, they said, we're going to make it real easy. You download the universal code, and then you just use licenses to unlock it. How fun is that? And I was like, not licensing. I don't pay for this stuff. Now, my customers do pay for it, right? So here's the thing on licensing. Within your environments, you can evaluate the licensing. What does evaluation mean? 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, I don't know, like 10 years. 10 years, something like that, is what you'll see on a lot of devices. If you do show license, show license usage, you can see which licenses are there, and you can see the mode that they're in. So I could have a license that's in evaluation mode, and it's like, yeah, you've got like 579 weeks left. I was like, 579 weeks? I'm not going to still use this router in 579 weeks. So for me, as an educator, most of my time is spent in the lab in terms of what am I trying to get my hardware to do. I want to buy the cheapest hardware available, put on the highest end, coolest features, and then just figure out how they work. But I don't really have a budget for all of that, purchasing the licensing. So I can evaluate it. Now the difference is when you evaluate things, and there are things that are in production, it's a little different. You're not really evaluating, you're kind of borrowing. It's okay to evaluate it, but where Cisco's going to draw the line on you is when you go to get support. If you've got a SmartNet contract on the device and you don't have a security license, but you are doing, say, zone-based firewalls or VPNs with it, when you call Cisco and you want to know why your VPN doesn't work, they're going to look at your file and go, for this router with the IP-based license, can't help you. We can help you with IP-based services, but if you want us to help you with features, you kind of have to pay for those features first, which I feel is a pretty good halfway point. So that's kind of where we're at with licensing from a big picture. The idea was to make our lives a little bit easier by including everything in the OS and then just unlocking the features. So the way that it would work to do licensing is we would purchase a package or feature, receive a pack. That's a product authorization key. You then go to cisco.com/go/licensing. You give them your product authorization key. You'll receive a license file, and then you can install the license file on the router. So if you go to, let's just say you go to Computer Discount Warehouse, and you purchase a security license for your router, they're going to send you a piece of paper. That paper is going to have a key in it. You go to Cisco's site, you register your company with that key and that router, they're going to give you back a license file, which goes in the router. Now, the way that the licensing works is that in version 12, you had an IP base, which was the lowest end. And then depending on what are you going for, do you want enterprise services? Do you want security services? Do you want voice services, service provider? And then the high-end version was advanced enterprise services. So when you downloaded 12.2t code, you would have to pick one of these different files, and the file that you downloaded would give you those features. They simplified this in 15 by producing what's called a universal image, which includes all those features. Now, once your universal image is there, we activate the features by turning on technology packages. The technology package that you get by default is IP base, which is entry-level functionality. The data technology package gives you things like MPLS, ATM, and multi-protocol support, which you may or may not need depending on your operating system or depending on your environment. If you want to do things like survivable remote site telephony, aka Call Manager Express, or what they're now calling Communication Manager Express, we would need a unified communications license. This gives you voice and IP telephony. The one that I'm typically after is security. This is what gives me firewall capabilities, intrusion prevention, IPsec, triple DES, VPN, and so forth. That's going to lock all of my VPN services. If you do show license, you can see the types of license that you have. So, for example, on most of my routers, they'll say IP-based K9. K9 means that you've got crypto suites, so you can do things like SSH with AES encryption, and this is not okay to export. What's kind of funny is when you buy a router, it may say in the model number K8 or K9. K8 is the lower crypto set, so it's weaker, but because not many people order that, a lot of times the price of the K8 will actually be a little bit higher, even though it comes with less. If you order that, you can typically get the K9 license for free, meaning you can activate things like AES and SHA-1 that aren't okay for export. You just go to Cisco and say, I want these features, and so long as it's being in the US and you're not breaking any export rules, that's fine. Outside of that, looking at things like the security feature set, you can see here that the license type is a val right to use. So basically, we have to accept an end user license agreement and activate the evaluation, and it would be activated, and we can go ahead and use those features. We just wouldn't have support through Cisco until we paid for them. Those license files that we can get from cisco.com/go/license, those are going to be downloaded to your host operating system. So if you've got a Windows 7 desktop, it would be located there. We would copy the license file over. So I would copy TFTP to Flash to get the license file into Flash, and then once it's there, we use the license command. I say license install Flash, and here's what my license file would look like. And then once it's been installed, you can reload it. Once you reload, the feature would be activated. So to turn on features such as the unified communications, I would say license boot module C2900 technology package, and whether I'm trying to turn on data, unified communications, or security. All you need is that command, whether or not you have the license file. If you don't have the license file, it's just going to be turned on in evaluation mode, which in my experience on 2900s has lasted for something in the neighborhood of 10 years, a very, very long time. So we activate the technology package, we reload, and when we come back, that feature set will be there. Additionally, if you want to save the license file to flash memory, we say license save flash all licenses.license. And if you wanted to remove the license file, we can say license boot module C3900. This was 2900 before, it's just going to be based on your platform. Same command as before, just using the disable keyword. This will turn off the technology package. So if you turned on unified communications to evaluate it, you looked at it, you don't really like it, and you go, we're going to go with Microsoft Link, let's just turn off these features on the router. It's more secure to disable features that you're not using, and this is how we disable those features. Again, after we disable them, we'd simply reload. If you wanted to remove the license after turning off the technology package, we just say license clear UCK9, and that will remove the license file from being used on that router. So let's say we've only got so many licenses we can use, and maybe we want to move the license from one router to another. We could do that, but to stay in compliance with our user agreement, we would remove it from one, and then we can maybe activate the license on another. That's it. Man, that was like the shortest session I've ever taught, just about 10 minutes. So any questions at all on iOS licensing, Cisco routers and switches, computers, networking, the purpose of life? I hope not, because I haven't got to figure it out. I can help you with the technology side, not so much the purpose of life. Good to, let's see, looks like everybody's in good shape. Is this on the test? I don't think licensing is on the test. I haven't seen any questions, but I'd say anything within your courseware is going to be grounds for being testable. All the test questions in my experience as 12 years as a Cisco instructor, just about anything that comes up as like a true-false type of fact-based question comes directly from the courseware. Anything that comes up in a scenario is based on things that you would have configured within the course. And anything outside of that shouldn't be in the exam. When you look at the CCNA routing and switching and the NP routing and switching, that's very true. When you start to get into some of the security classes, they reach sometimes a little bit outside of the courseware, but they really shouldn't. The courseware is really the Bible for taking the exam. Everything in the exam should come out of that courseware book. Good questions. Additionally, remember that you have the Ask a Mentor link. As you review any of the content from this class, you can reach out to me at any time. Additionally, you have access to this class for the next year. So let's say that you didn't attend the final day of class or any of this class and you just watched it in instant replay. You could come back to particular days of the class in the future, just at particular topics. You can reset the class at any point whenever it runs. We'd love to see you again. The more people in class, the more fun it tends to be. So that's basically it. All right, doesn't look like we've got any more questions, so that's going to be a wrap. We covered the licensing, pretty straightforward. You used to have to download individual files. Now we can get that universal file. We just activate the feature sets. You can activate them with or without a license. If you don't have the license, it'll just be in an evaluation mode, and if you do have the license, it won't be. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great weekend. As always, if you've got any questions while you're doing your further studying or your work with NetSim, NetSim has their own support. XSim, which is of course the exam simulator, that has its own support. But if you're not getting what you need, maybe they just don't answer in a way that makes sense and you're looking for some backup, come ask me. You can use that Ask a Mentor link within the campus. I'm here and I'm happy to help. Otherwise, thanks so much for attending the class, and I hope to see you in future training classes. There's other instructors that handle the voice and the CCNP routing and switching. You could find me on the security side. So if you ever want to come see ASAs or intrusion prevention or iron port products, or you want to learn about VPNs, I'm on the security side and I'd love to see you. Thanks so much for tuning in, and take care.